All right, so in this case study, I'm going to show you how we brought Tuan from burnout and seeking validation to designing his life with clarity and intention. And when Tuan first started with me, he had just gone through a pretty rough breakup with this girl he thought he was going to marry as soon as he transitioned out of the military. And he was feeling like he had worked so hard and sacrificed so much, but yet his life didn't look the way he thought it would by now. And because of a lot of that, he just struggled with depression and anxiety. But we were able to completely flip that around. And Tuan started dating again. He's now married, started a family. He lives his life with just a deeper sense of appreciation and fulfillment and purpose, and is more aligned with his own values and ambition. So I'm going to show you how we took that journey with Tuan. But first question is, why was he feeling so lost? As you saw, he was in the military. His uniforms decorated, but he described himself as directionless. Okay, and he did well at most things that he took part in. He was the picture really of the good guy. He always did the right thing. He tried to be perfect, and on the outside that looked great, and people told him that he was great. But on the inside, he really questioned his own value, and he was full of self-doubt. But he was too busy living up to everyone else's expectations, and he put his dreams on the back burner. And that created a sense that his personality, his goals, his true self was not actually good enough, in which grew a lot of that inner anxiety and depression. And what happens with that is that it creates this endless cycle of chasing just fleeting highs, okay, which means by every trophy, every medal, every kudos, every little pat on the back was really a temporary fix. And many men fall deep into this trap. I was stuck in this trap for many years of my life, trying to earn our value. And many times our sense of manlyhood, trying to earn that manly badge, right? By the things that we achieve and secure in our life, by the wins that we accumulate, only to find out what made you feel like you were finally good enough yesterday no longer holds any power today. And then you have to start over again and again and again in this, stuck in this cycle. So though outwardly it created success in his life, it was internally just draining him of all his peace, all his power, all his fulfillment. And on the last slide, I'm going to show you exactly why that was happening and how it flipped that. But his success was really suffocating his life. So we had to take off that mask. And what was hiding behind that mask was the fear that when it was all said and done, that he just wasn't good enough. And most, if not all of his actions were really driven by this fear. He was actually teaching himself advanced calculus while we were coaching, and not because he was actually taking a class, but because he failed it earlier in his life, and so he had to kind of fix that weakness. But maybe you're not teaching yourself calculus. Okay. But yet I still ask you, what are some of the habits that you have, right? What's really driving you to work as hard as you do? Are you running to something, or are you running away from something? Are you still trying to prove that you're good enough? There's many men out there that no matter how much success that they achieve, they still are trying to get that feeling that they're good enough. Okay, are you quietly just driving yourself into the ground, but nobody can really tell? Okay, the actions in and of themselves are neither good nor bad, but the way that you may be doing them is either going to give you life or is going to kill your life off. And you know what? You may be thinking, okay, if I lose this chip on my shoulder that's really pushing me, won't I lose my drive? And honestly, the answer to that is no. Okay, you'll actually have more capacity to create more and just be free of that weight of perfection, just allowing you to take more risk, to do bigger things, because that temporary failure that you're going to hit just won't define you anymore, right? So, but back to Tuan, we had to switch, right, from that mask, that soul sucking mask, to a life giving one. So, in a way, we had to put on his oxygen mask. And Tuan, at the time, he was building his kingdom, he was trying to build his castle. But the biggest problem is that his inner chamber there was dark, it was bare, it was completely unknown to him. The insecurity, the doubt, the anxiety, the depression, just from trying to live up to this image that was put on him. His focus was always just on the things outside of himself, trying to collect enough wins to get that validation and acceptance from his peers, from his family, and he did it all really without complaint, like many of us do. Yet, he still felt like he had no value. He still felt unclear about his own true identity. And being able to accomplish the things that he did, he also felt like he had no right to complain, right? And that would actually drive the anxiety deeper. Many men achieve things and they look around thinking like, I should be happy. I should be confident. I should be content. I should feel fulfilled. Like, what's wrong with me? But the truth is, right, we had to shift. We had to shift that focal point, right? From the kingdom, from the castle, and then to start in the inner chamber. Okay, we got clear on the core values, which really helped us to shift his identity, master his emotions, thoughts, and so we can use them as power assets to design his life instead of reacting to it. Okay, this is how we put the oxygen mask on first. We learn to master our inner chamber. We take care of our inner world so that we can show up 100% for our families, for our careers, and we're able to lead from a place of clarity and peace and power. All right, and this is just an example of the belief cycle where we start to create those shifts. But I want to tell you about one example with Tuan is that when he stepped out of the military, he was stepping into a new career that he felt completely unprepared for, which caused some anxiety, right? And so working on that self-image and helping him realize that the trophies that he got, the badges that he got, all those things were not the things that made him valuable, but it was because of his value that he created all that success, right? So we had an exercise where he would actually focus on those traits that he was bringing to the table, the determination, the discipline, the perseverance, the attention to detail, okay, and realize those were value intrinsic to him. So he was bringing that and he could succeed in any field. And so we channeled that energy every time before he stepped in the office. Okay, that empowered him and was able to give him the results that he was looking for. So Tuan was really able to transform, thinking that he wouldn't get over his ex, to dating, getting married, having a baby. He went from anxiety about starting that new career to excelling to the point where experienced people were actually asking him for advice, right? He was able to have really more open conversations with his parents, letting go of some past beliefs that kept him stuck. And he actually developed a newfound relationship with God. And Tuan's still very disciplined and he loves to excel. He's always pushing himself. The difference is now it's just an expression of who he is, his internal value, rather than it being something to gain validation from others. Okay, he lives his life with more peace and intention and clarity. And so I want you to think about this right here, this levels of personal consciousness. And this is not something I created, right? But I like the way that the Barrett Value Center describes it here, because not having clarity on our inner chamber caused a lack of self-esteem, caused a lack of self-value and assurance. And that was leaving Tuan seeking validation from everywhere else besides himself, right? He was working hard, but from the wrong foundation, which he was digging himself into a self-made pit of depression and self-destruction. And that was leaving him stuck, bouncing between levels 2 and 3 of this chart here that you see. Now, I want you to think about yourself, right? If you feel like you're on the verge of burnout, you may be being what everybody else needs you to be or wants you to be or something, but you're barely holding it together, right? You're trying to be this provider. You are giving everything that you have, but you feel like it's just not enough. And the first thing that you have to do, though, is get clear on who you really are. So jump on a call with me, and I will take you through the same exact exercises that I did with Tuan and that I do with all my clients. And once we get clear on our values, we can set priorities, we can build a framework for success in your life, all right? And that's how we start to shift, right? Out of that 2-3 zone, and we start to hit number 4, and we keep moving up. But nothing really works until we get clear on our values and our identity, all right? Because that's the focal point that's going to really guide us forward. So right now, if you're stuck, if you're feeling lost or directionless, if nothing's really working, it all just kind of seems empty. Like, one big mistake could just expose you and your real value behind all the success that you're hiding behind. Click on the link below, jump on a call with me. I'll help you to get clarity on where you are and where you want to go. Okay, and we'll get crystal clear on those values so we can truly build a battle plan for success and just you living a more fulfilled life. And not only will that change your sense of satisfaction, but it'll also change your future health, family, career, and so you can be that man that you desire for everyone else in your life as well. So I'll see you on the call. Click the link and I'll talk to you soon.